All right, so this is cool. So this is the fourth week of Coach Basics. And at this point, I mean, you guys are a full month into really learning the basics. And you really should have a grasp of that, as far as the fact that we start challenge groups, that we focus on making Success Club, getting to Emerald. I don't know how many of you maybe had gotten to Emerald before the end and are already receiving your customers from the company. But that is the basics. And then, getting people started as challengers. And then the next step is learning to upgrade people to coaches, right? Whenever they get enthusiastic, so that's really what we do with challengers, is if we can keep them on track, that about a month or two in, when we notice that they're getting excited about their results, about their progress, and they've really seemed to take root into being excited about Beachbody, that we can get coaching in front of them and then introduce them to coaching. And so I do want to cover something tonight that I think is vital to you guys being able to just do things faster and help more people just in a better way. I know that there are coaches who sometimes put in a lot of time and they don't seem to go near as fast as what they could or help as many people as they could. And it's because they don't yet grasp this concept that we're going to talk about tonight. The first 2 years that I did this business, I did it one way. And that way kind of made me spend a lot of time with little result, and it bogged me down. Like it really did. It made me kind of burn out and go, man, there's no way I can keep up with this. Then there's another way to do it where then I started doing it. And once I started doing it the way that we're going to talk about tonight, it really just kind of relieved the stress, relieved the tension. It made me understand that I don't have to be the expert at everything. And if I'm not, things will go better. So I want you to write this down, because what we're covering tonight, what we're doing is going to save you a lot of headaches, save you a lot of frustration, save you from feeling like you can't keep up with the workload, and that you can actually fit this in a reasonable amount of hours every week. But there's a difference between system dependent and you dependent. So write that down: system dependent and you dependent. So there's two ways that you can build and have your team act and react to you. One is that everything becomes dependent on you, that you are the resource. You are the resource that has all the answers. You are the resource that answers all the questions, okay? You are the resource that has all the information, and that you become the go-to person for everything and everybody that has a problem with shipping, that has a question on nutrition, that has a question on coaching, and that everything comes to you. Or we can learn to become system dependent, which is a lot different than a you dependent situation. What do I explain what that means? It really is this. It comes down to this: where do people go to ask their questions and get their information? Where do they go? Do they come to you, or do they go to other resources that can provide that information better, faster, quicker than what you can alone? And so it really is understanding that this concept. This is something that Danny Johnson talks about all the time, that the marketplace pays a high value for people who become good connectors. Not good experts, but good connectors, which means that our job simply is to connect people to information and connect them to where they can find answers, where they can find solutions, where they can ask their questions and get them answered. Let me give you an example. With our fitness challengers, right? So right now you guys have challengers, and I'm assuming that those challengers that have questions, right? They have a lot of questions. And so we train people where to go. We train them that they either come to us, or we train them on where they can find the information. With fitness challengers, so the first 2 years I did this, I had lost 120 pounds, and I had really dug in and did a lot of research on fitness, on the human body, on nutrition. And I knew a lot of information. I knew a lot of information about eating for weight loss and eating for health. Had watched documentaries and went to Google and studied things, right? I even studied the P90X nutrition guide thoroughly. I read that thing probably 20 times, right? I went to the website, and I went to the Eat Smart tab, and I went through all the nutritional tools, and I would be on those message boards relentlessly, just soaking in information. And so I had learned an awful lot of information. And so when I was first doing this, as my customers would have questions about weight loss or nutrition, right? They would send me a question and it would say, hey, Tommy, what am I supposed to eat? Right? I felt like I was the one that was supposed to explain what they were eating. How many of you have felt that way, that you have to be the one to explain, right? And so I would spend an hour of time crafting a perfect message for these people, a detailed message of exactly, trying to explain to them what I had spent hours, days, and weeks and months learning, which took time off of my back. It took energy and it took mental power. And the reality is there was no way that I could ever transfer what I knew to them in a single message. That I could never give them the same advice over and over again, that my words would change, right? That depending on who I was speaking to and the mood I was in and all of those things. So I would give them an answer that wasn't always consistent. That was a me dependent situation where I felt like I had to explain everything. So they might come to me with a fitness question or a nutrition question, and I felt like I had to explain. When the reality is this, I would have been much better off showing them the system where they could go spend their time getting the answers from other resources. Does everybody understand that? So what resources are we talking about with our fitness challengers? Well, the programs, for one, right? The programs. In that box is a world of information, whether it's in the DVDs or in the books that come with it. Many of our challengers have questions that are already answered in those nutritional guides, or already answered in the thing. So the guides and the programs and the workout DVDs, those are part of the system. So when they come, simply, I can either explain or I could simply say, well, hey, let me ask you a question. Have you already read through the nutrition guide and studied that? How many times have you read it? Why don't you look there first and see if you can find the answer? That's the first thing. The second resource that we can connect them to would be the company website, the nutritional tools, right? Or the fitness tools. If someone comes and says, I don't know how many calories to eat. Well, I could either try to figure it out for them, right? Or I could simply say, you know what? The company has a great tool for that. Have you went to the website and looked at the Eat Smart tab or the nutritional tools tab? So the Eat Smart tab is a resource. What do I know about the Eat Smart tab versus me? The Eat Smart tab has more information, better information. The Eat Smart tab does not have emotions, does not get frustrated, right? And it's available 24/7, which means that my person won't have to wait for answers if I point them to the system, right? Versus explaining myself. The third resource that we can put challengers in that's part of the system is the challenge groups themselves. This is why I love building challenge groups as a team. Challenge groups, Coach Basics groups, ramp groups, all of those things as a team, because here's what I know. There's no way that you can be the person explaining and answering every single question from all of your people, because you can only serve so many people. Would you agree that at some point you're gonna have 5 or 10 people sending you questions, and you're gonna go, I can't do this, because you're starting to get text messages at 11 o'clock at night, and you're starting to get Facebook inboxes at 9 o'clock in the morning, and everybody's coming to you with every little question. I want you to understand something. You are not the resource. You can be the resource. So how many of you would agree that if there was a wall with electrical outlets, what can hold more power? What can serve more appliances? A wall with just one electrical outlet, or a wall with multiple outlets that has extensions that have multiple outlets, right? Does that make sense? So in this situation, you can be the resource and have everybody try to plug into you. But how many of you agree that that would suck the life out of you? At some point, you can't keep up with it. And so I've seen a lot of coaches do this, where they feel responsible for giving the answers, finding the answers, giving the explanations. And they feel like they're putting in a lot of hours every single day, and they're going nowhere. They're not making any money. And it's because they're busy answering things that they shouldn't be answering and being the expert in areas they should not be the expert in, versus learning what the system is and helping people go to the system to find the answer. When we talk about coaches, it's the same thing. Where's another, wait, let's go back to fitness challengers, but where's another place that we can send fitness challengers? How about Google? Hey, have you, our job is to do this. If a person comes to us with a question, we have to ask ourselves, if I had that question, where would I go find the answer? And then I got to tell them where I would go to find the answer. Even if I know the answer. Even if I know the answer. See, here's the thing. You might know the answer, and you might be tempted to give them a very awesome, detailed explanation of everything that you know about that area. And the reason we do that is because we want to feel good. We want them to feel like we know it. We want them to feel like we've served them. We want them to feel like we've done our job and that we are knowledgeable and expertise in this area of fitness, nutrition, coaching, whatever. But we can only help so many people, and we don't help them near as fast or near as well as if we point them to the system and let the system. Our job is to take the system, take the resources in the system, and match the person to the resources and let them work together while our hands are off, while we can go spend time with the family, right? With coaches, what are some resources that I'm talking about? The pages, Swarm Cave, the basics page, the ramp page, those are resources, right? That's one resource. The boot camps, basics and ramp, the boot camps. Right now, you guys are learning something, and it's not your coach having to spend the time teaching you, right? All they did was connect you to a resource. I happen to provide that resource, right? Me and some of the other leaders, we provide that resource so that you guys can plug in. And I do this because I know that we have coaches who are super busy. You guys are busy. You got families. You've got, jobs. I don't want you to feel like you have to train every single one of your people. That you can just become a connector and find your people and plug them in and know that they're going to learn the information they need to become good coaches, just like your coach did with you. The other thing that are provided, the resources, is the website, the FAQ segment for the website, right? So I'll give you an example. I had a coach yesterday who's a local friend of mine that I went to high school with. He's been a coach for a while. He comes to me and says, hey, what do you know about enrolling a nonprofit organization as a coach? Because I'm looking at enrolling my church as a coach, and I have some questions. Now, here's the thing. I'm 6 years into being a coach, and I've had a lot of success. Do you think I know stuff about a nonprofit organization and how to enroll them and maybe how? Right? I probably know the answers. Okay, so here's what I said to him. I said, well, yeah, Brian, for sure. I know there's a lot of information available. Have you already checked the Coach Online office and went to the FAQ? And he said, no. I said, great. Why don't I show you where you can find that information? Here's what I would do if I were going to look for that answer. I would go to the online office. I'd go to, My Business, My Forms. I'd look at the nonprofit thing. And then I would go to the Coach FAQ, and I would probably research nonprofits because there's going to be a ton of information there. Why don't you do that first and see what you can find and then follow up with me and let me know what you get. Which way is easier? Okay, understand this. Could I have explained it? I could have. I knew the answers. I could have spent 2-hour phone call with the guy. He's a friend of mine. I want to give him my time. I don't want him to feel like I failed him, right? Or I could take 10 seconds and plug him into the FAQ in the Coach Online office and plug him into the back office and show him where to go find it. Our job is to show people where to go find the answers. And the place is not us. That we are not the answer hub. You are not Google. Okay? You show them where Google is. I hope you guys are understanding this concept. Another resource, live events. So we got the website, right? You got the website, you got the FAQ, you got Coach Relations. You also have live events. This is why promoting live events or attending live events and getting other people to attend live events is huge. Because oftentimes it's not your words that will help somebody grow in their vision as a coach. Oftentimes it's them getting in an environment where they meet other people, hear other stories, get other testimonials, and all those things. Okay? A big resource to learn to plug people into with coaching is personal development materials. You guys have already started some personal development, right? Like you've done GoPro or you've read First Steps to Wealth by Danny. That would be something I definitely do, is read First Steps to Wealth by Danny Johnson. It's free. You can go to her website, DannyJohnson.com, and get First Steps to Wealth for free. It's $5.95 for shipping, I think. Okay. But this is really why, do I understand time management? Yeah. I've went to Franklin Covey. I studied that. I've read Eat That Frog. I've been through Danny Johnson training. I've been overtrained on how to set a schedule, manage my time, and get efficient production out of my time, right? Now, I could either try to teach you that one-on-one, right? Or I could just say, hey, listen, if I were you, I would go to the Franklin Covey training. Or if I were you, I would read Eat That Frog. It sounds to me like you need some help in your time management and organization. Have you ever read Eat That Frog? No. Great. I would start there. I could just recommend and prescribe. This is why personal development is so important, because it makes our job faster. The more personal development we do, the more tools we have to recommend to coaches when they need something. Does that make sense? When they need growth in a certain area, or they need help and better skills in a certain area, we can prescribe it. Now, this is one reason why personally, I and our team and several other leaders in the network, why we use Danny Johnson, because she has materials for literally every single area. She's an expert at all of these, every single area that a coach could use and need growth in, whether it's time management, whether it's people skills, whether it's leadership skills. My baby's crying. I don't know if you can hear her or not. She's in there screaming. She does not want to go to bed. So personal development, prescribing personal development for coaches. Our job is pretty simple. If I can invite people, I want to invite them to the resources, and I want to direct them to the resources. So if I'm going to join the Swarm Call on Monday nights, I want to invite my coaches to join. If I'm going to attend a live event like Super Saturday or Summit, I want to invite my coaches to join. I want to bring as many people to those resources as possible. So that's the difference between system dependent and you dependent. Now, our job is this: to do what we call edify the resource so that the resource seems better than us. What do I mean by that? To edify, you want to learn this word edify, because you're going to hear it all the time out of my mouth. You're going to hear it from our team and our leaders. You're going to hear us say, yeah, I edified it, right? So to edify means this. It means to uplift the value. To uplift the value. To make it seem valuable to the person that we're speaking to. Edify kind of is like bragging on, right? How many, you have kids or you have friends and you brag on your friend, right? And you say things that are really good about your friend, about how awesome they are and how friendly they are or how smart they are or how talented they are. And you start bragging on your friend. What you're doing is edifying your friend to the other person, so the other person has a good feeling about your friend and that the friend has a good feeling about themselves. Does that make sense? So to edify, and we want to get really good at edifying things. So our job is to edify the resources to make them seem valuable. So here's how I do this, and to downplay ourselves. Edify the resource, downplay ourselves, so that the person wants to go to the resource more than they want to come to you. What do I mean by this? Okay, so let's just say that I have a new coach. I want to say, listen, there's going to be several places that you can go to get information, and I'm going to downplay myself. And I want you to understand something. I'm one person who doesn't know a whole lot about everything. That's just the truth. I don't know all the answers. In fact, I probably know less than what I know. So you can come to me, but I can't guarantee that I'm going to be available 24/7 to answer your questions. There's no way that I could be there at 11 o'clock at night or 7 o'clock in the morning or sometimes 3 o'clock in the afternoon, because I'm just as busy as everybody else. And I don't ever want you to have to wait for the answer, especially when I may not know the answer to begin with. Okay, but let me show you where you can get the answers faster and better than you can by just coming to me. Here's the Coach FAQ. Here's the team page. Here's the number to Coach Relations. Those 3 resources can help you faster and better than I can myself. In fact, our team is full of amazing people who all use the same system, who all follow the same program, who all know exactly what I know, if not more. Some of them actually know more about things like social media than what I do, because they've spent a lot of time studying those areas. So you may be best served. In fact, you are best served to go to the team first, the company second, me third. That would be the order if I had a question of which I would go. I'd go ask the team. I'd go ask the company. If I still don't have the answer, then come to Tommy. So I direct them to go to the resources first, right? And I let them know that those resources help you faster and better than I can. Uplift the value of the resource, downplay my value. Because here's what it looks like. I want to show you this. I made this little diagram, and I know it's on paper. But this is the team, the company. It's like Danny Johnson, like a trainer, other personal development, right? Those are the resources. These are 3 people. All 3 people are going to have questions. And our job is to determine where they can find the answer and plug them in. See all those lines? That's one person with 4 questions. So you got 3 people. So my question to you is this: do you want all of these questions coming directly to you, or do you want to be able to deflect them and send them to the resources? Which way do you think is better? Right? Probably sending them to the resources. So the reason I want to cover this, guys, is honestly because I did it one way. I did it as a me-dependent system, and there was a reason why 2 years in, I had worked hard, but I was only making a couple $100 a week. And I know many of you are going, man, I'd love to make a couple $100 a week. A lot of you are like, a couple $100 a week is great. But it was when I learned to become system dependent, when I stopped being the expert, I stopped having all the answers, and I started directing people on where to find them. The Coach Training Academy is a resource as well. So when I started directing them, that my income exploded, my team exploded, and to be honest with you, I got more praise and thanks from people because they could learn more that way. I could never transfer everything I had learned from here because I was plugged into all of these. I guess the point is this: you want people to plug into the same things that you plug into. You don't want to transfer the information because you never remember 100% and you never communicate 100% of what you learn. You're only, statistics show, like, you go through a night like tonight on this call, you're only going to retain like 10% of what you hear tonight. Then when you go to speak it to someone, you're only going to share 10%. So they're getting 1% of what you got versus, you know what I mean? Even though you feel like you're transferring stuff, you're not, because the information whittles down and you only remember some key nuggets, and it might not be the nuggets that they need. You see what I'm saying? It might not be the nuggets they need. I guarantee what Scott gets out of tonight's call might be a little different than what Brian or Taylor get out of this call tonight. You hear different things because you're different people. Well, your person may need something that you didn't remember. So you can either show them the video, send them to the training, take them to the event, point them in the direction. Don't try to be the expert that explains. That's the point. So listen, that's it for the training. I'm going to open it up for Q&A. And you can ask questions on anything. Right now, we have about 20 minutes, okay? I have about 20 minutes, which might be time to answer anywhere from, 2 to 10 questions, depending on what the questions are and all that. But I'm sure that you guys have some questions. If so, feel free to just unmute yourself. I'll go ahead and pop up the chat box. You could either chat it in or you could unmute yourself. And all it takes is one person to start. But this is a free-for-all. You guys can ask Tommy anything you want, or if you have no questions, I think it's a rare opportunity for you guys to ask some questions to someone that's been around for 6 years that might be able to help you. Or maybe you have a situation you want to talk about, like maybe you got in a situation and you're not quite sure how to handle it.
Hey, Tommy, I have a question. It's Tina.
What's going on?
Hey, I took a shower. I have no makeup on, and I'm a hot mess. So.
Is that why your video's off?
That's why.
You know what? I bet you look super hot even with no makeup, Tina.
Oh, you're sweet. I don't, but thank you.
Good.
So I'm having that same issue. I have a lot of coaches coming to me and messaging me.
Right.
And I'm constantly answering questions, and I don't mind, and I want to help them. And I feel like I felt like that I've been letting them down. I would let them down if I don't respond to them, but I know I'm not doing them any favors either. So should you recommend that I just do it one-on-one, or put a message like in my team page asking them telling them how to go about asking questions? Or?
Yeah, well, I mean, here's the thing. It's okay if they come to you with a question. It's how you handle that question that matters.
Okay.
Right? And I have to stop myself because there's times when I know the answer and I want to answer it, but I have to understand that what's best for them is that I don't necessarily answer it directly myself, that I show them where to find the information. Here's why, Tina. Your coaches on your team, do they also have busy lives outside of this, kind of like you?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How many so here's the thing. When you start building a team, your team can go faster. And here's why, because if you're busy answering all of these little questions, one, you're feeling like you're working a lot harder than what you have to.
Right.
Right? And earning the same money. So you could actually cut your time in half because you're not spending time answering questions and being the expert. You're spending time sending them to where you learned it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first thing. The second thing that I tell them is this. Listen, I'm actually doing you a favor. So like, Tina, let's say that you were my coach, right? And you came to me with a question. I would say, Tina, listen, I would love to answer that question for you, but I want to do you a big favor right now. I don't want you to feel like you have to answer everybody's questions when they come to you. So the best thing I can do for you is show you the system and show you how to go to the system so that you do the same thing with your people. Let me ask you a question, Tina. Do you want to be answering text messages at 11:30 at night when your husband is wanting to go to bed?
Are you asking me? No.
Yeah, I know. I'm asking you. No. I mean, you want to be answering questions at 11:30 at night?
No.
No, exactly. And you know what? Neither do I. So I do you no favors if I don't teach this to you right now, because if you try to answer everyone's questions, that's exactly what's going to happen. Is you're going to have text messages all day and Facebook messages all day, and you're going to be getting a lot of questions coming at you. And I want to show you how to handle that so that you don't have to do that. So I'm actually doing you a favor. So why don't you go ahead and ask me that question again, and then I'll show you where to find the answer. And that's what I would do, Tina, right there. And here, and so the thing is this. They have to understand that I'm doing it because I care for them, because they can get – I don't want them to have to wait for me, right?
Right.
And I don't want them to get watered down information. If I give them the information, it's going to be watered down. And that, as much as I know, it's never 100% of what the resource has.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I also don't want them to believe that they have to know everything I know in order to be a coach, because they certainly don't. It would take them 6 years to get to the same knowledge base as me and a lot of studying, and they'd have to be pretty good at it, right, to get to where I'm at. But as long as I'm system dependent and I say, here's where I would go to find it. Let me show you where I would find that answer. Hey, have you checked this? Have you checked that? Have you listened to Dave Ramsey? Have you attended a Danny event? It sounds to me like you need to go to a Danny event, right? That's how. So I could either try to give them what I learned at Danny, right? Or I could just simply say, hey, this is what it sounds like. It sounds to me like you need to get to San Antonio in a month, right? Mm-hmm. And so, but the worst thing we could, because this is what happens to teams, and this is where I know teams go faster when they connect with the system and they understand this concept. If you're busy spending time answering questions, giving watered down information, you're creating a codependent situation, and you're going to be breastfeeding your 18-year-old. Because that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be running an adult daycare, and you are the nanny watching all the kids. And they come to you for every little need, right? And you don't want to be running that. And you don't want your people to feel like they have to do that. Do you want to breastfeed an 18-year-old son?
No.
At some point, you got to get them off the nipple. You got to show them where to go get food. You got to show them how to use the microwave. You got to show them how to go to the cupboard. You got to show them how to go to the grocery store so that they can feed themselves, right? That's what our job with people is. Our job is not to breastfeed them. Our job is to show them where to go. Give a man a fish he eats for a day. Teach a man to fish he eats for a lifetime. Mm-hmm. Right? Our job is to show them how to fish so they can become independent. We need to create independence. And so this is why, like, a lot of you go, man, Tommy's got to be super busy, right? He's super busy. Everyone assumes that people are like, I don't know how you keep up. I'm like, easy, because I'm not in a you-dependent situation. I'm in a system-dependent situation. I don't train people to come directly to me with questions. They come to me once with a question, I show them where to go. They come to me twice, I show them where to go. They come to me 3 times, I show them where to go. Eventually, they pick up on the fact that, man, they could, instead of coming to me first, they could just go to the resource. How many of you know you can just go straight to Google and find an answer?
Mm-hmm.
And you do, right? You do. You have a question? Man, I should just Google that. You want to know a little bit more about something? You go to Wikipedia. That's a resource. You don't have to go ask anybody. You just go to Google and research it. Our job is to show them how to do that with Beachbody stuff. So
Okay.
what I would do, though, is Tina, this is all Danny stuff that you've learned and that I know that you know, is the first thing I would do with my team is to take ownership and apologize, right? And say, listen, first of all, I need to apologize to all of you. In my effort to do what I felt was best and to not disappoint you, I may have actually harmed all of us by creating a situation that we need to undo immediately. And this is why we need to undo it. I need to show you guys how to become more system dependent. And it's going to start with me. So here's the list of resources that you guys can go to. Go to that first, me second, blah, 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 and then tell them what the deal is. But taking ownership of it, because your team can go a lot faster, Tina, if they learn to do this, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Think about all those little minutes and hours and messages and pieces of information that are filtering to you that don't necessarily have to, you know?
Yeah.
You got to ask yourself, can they get this answer somewhere that's not me? And if so, you got to show them where to get it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, thank you. I'll do
welcome.
that.
Awesome. Anybody else? I know Scott has a question. He got all kind of questions. He's like a question machine. No?
Yeah, I don't know. I do, but I know I need to just go look at the resources that are bothering you guys. So.
Well, that's okay. Yeah, see, you're already learning, right? You can match yourself with the resource, and now you're spending your time there. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what we want to do, guys. This is how you get efficient workload, right? Where you're not getting bogged down. There's a resource, there's a person. So let me give you an example, okay? There's a girl, Jacqueline Daniel. And I knew what the girl needed was to do some personal development. Like, she wants to do this, but she's kind of stuck. And I'm like, she needs some personal development. So I just recommended some personal development. I said, listen, if I were you, I would start with listening to the compound effect in your car on the way to work, there and back. If I could show you where to get the compound effect, 1, would you get it? 2, would you listen to it? She said, yes. Started listening to that, right? I've listened to the compound effect 11 times. I know a lot of the compound effect, but listen, there's no way in hell that I could tell her the information. I don't want to spend the time. I want the compound effect to spend time with Jackie so that they're working together and it's not sucking the life out of me. And all I've done is be a good friend and a good encourager and a connector, connected them. So I want, it's like being a matchmaker, right? Here, let me make a match and you guys can work together and you guys can spend time together. And you know what? You're more than welcome to keep in touch with me along the way and let me know what you're learning. I'd love to know what you're learning. So you be the friend, which takes a lot less time. I got to tell you, people will give you more praise because they'll get help better. They'll get help faster, you know? Anybody else? Questions? It could be anything, guys. It could be challenge groups, raindrops, pineapple trees. I don't care. Anything anything and everything. If not, then I think we're good. Going once.
Yeah, I'll jab at it.
All right, I knew it. See, Scott, I knew that you could. You're like,
That's right.
Okay. So what's up, man?
Holding back.
That's okay.
So I guess 2 quick things. One, the BAT, so the business activity tracker.
Right.
As far as filling that out with the goals, I guess I was kind of trying to figure out the connect with my team and things like that. Like, what do we put? Do we put like 5 times, 10? I mean, are we looking at minutes here on some of these things? Are we looking at volume?
Well, I don't know. You got to determine on how you want to set your goals. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, are you going to go by like number of people, or you know what I'm saying? Like number of minutes, amount of time that you're setting. So like something like personal development, you're gonna put like number of pages or number of minutes, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I guess part of it is like the connect with my team. So I look at that, like the team Facebook page. Is that the Swarm? Is that Rock the Basics? Is that my own personal pages with my team? Or
team time is team time, in my opinion, right? Like
okay.
Team time is team time. So I look at team time as, I think team engagement is one of the biggest vitals in the world, and here's why. I don't think that you got to have a balance, right? You don't want to spend so much time with the team that you're not spending time with other individuals outside of the team. It's easy to get caught up in the team and feel good with the team, and because we're already Beachbody friendly, and we can sit around and go, yeah, Beachbody, I love it. Yay, we're doing workouts and we're drinking shakes, and and you're doing good. Okay, great, you've made Success Club. I'm proud of you, and we can get sucked into that world and into that community. And our job is to take the energy and what we learn from that community, and then get outside of the Beachbody bubble, what I call the Beachbody bubble, and go spread the word, to go be a fisherman of people and fish them into the Beachbody bubble too, and say, hey man, it's so good in this bubble, you need to come check it out, right? And bring them into the Beachbody bubble, right? So getting outside of the Beachbody circle. So team time is important because we all need to be refreshed, because out in the real world, people are going to beat you up about your Beachbody bubble. They're going to judge you for it. They're going to say no. You're going to feel right. So you need your Beachbody family to stay feeling good. So Scott, here's the thing. At the end of the day, you've got to determine how you're going to measure your activity. Number of minutes, number of page checks. I can't tell you how to do that. All I know is this:
right.
I spend time every day with the team in some facet, whether it's on a call like this or whether it's in the pages. I certainly don't camp out in the pages. You know what I mean? I'm not going to spend hours in the pages, but for me to take 20 minutes of time once a day to check my pages, my group pages, my challenge pages, that's what I do. 20 to 30 minutes a day, right? A focused time to go into those pages. And I just know that's part of what I do every single day. So but you got to determine how you're going to measure, that's like me telling someone from the UK that they're stupid for measuring in metric when they need to measure in English, like why do you use kilograms, I use pounds. Either way, it's a form of measurement. But you just got to determine which way you're going to measure as far as minutes, time, number of people, number of actual enrollments, or whatever, what your goals are going to be for those, depending on how you want to measure it. I just think that as long as you have, for me, I don't personally fill out the BAT. I just look at it and go, did I do all this stuff today? So I just use, okay, but listen, you and I are complete polar opposite personality types. You're very analytical and very organized. I'm not, okay? I am not. Like, if you saw my office, it looks like a friggin' bomb went off. You would cringe at my office. You'd be like, oh my God, how does Tommy get anything done, right? You would. So for me to talk about a system is hard.
Gotcha.
What I'm telling you tonight was very hard for me to do. I am not a system guy. I had to learn to be a system guy because that's out of my comfort zone, right? So for me, if I just have that BAT like saved on my phone or printed off and saved and put on my desk, I could just look at those activities and go down them. I might not track every little minute and every little thing, and I could tell myself to do it, and in 6 years I haven't done it. But as long as I look at that list and go, did I do these things today? Did I do something in these things today? Great. I did. If not, no big deal. So I don't expect now some of you, though, you want detailed tracking. Scott probably wants detailed tracking. You love that, right, Scott?
I actually don't.
Okay, you don't.
No, that's why I wanted to check, because I want to make sure I'm with you. So I'd rather just set my goals and then just look every day and go down, check off the list. I'm good.
Yeah.
You answered my question. That's perfect.
Yeah, and when I look at that list, I can look at it and go, did I do this stuff? And I know if I spent way too much. We intrinsically know if we're spending way too much time in one area or another,
I don't want you to give me an F when I send it to you,
No, I don't. And I appreciate the fact though that you don't want to disappoint me, so you're making sure to be thorough.
That's right.
And so no, I won't give you an F when you send it.
All right, perfect. I'm good.
Because it's more about you than it is me. But this is the power of accountability. You feel accountable to me, so you're like, man, I got to get this right. So great. Awesome. Anybody else? So maybe that helps you guys with the BAT. Now, some people want to track. If I'm being completely honest with you, I save it on my phone. I pull it up a couple times a day, and I look at the list of activities, and I go, did I do this stuff? Okay, I got to do this, this, and this. All right. So anybody else? Questions?
Tommy, it's Tina again.
Yeah,
I
Tina.
was, what I did with the BAT was I changed it to suit me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I used the format and then just deleted some of the lines. And like for my post, I put like my topics that I want to cover every day on Facebook so I could check them off. So I just made it to suit me because I knew I would be more likely to use it if I did it that way. So that's an idea for those that want to use it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a guide. It's a guide, and if you got to modify it, you do. But at the end of the day, those are the activities, the areas of activities where you need to have some activity.
Right. Yeah, I kept the 3 vital behaviors, of course, but I just tweaked it a little bit to keep me on track with what I want to focus on in addition to what is on there.
Right. And Tina's doing great, So obviously I would listen to what she says. She's a pretty smart cookie, to be honest with you. So, all right, guys, anybody else? If not, I'm going to let you guys go. We'll stop the recording. We got 2 more weeks. So I want to remind you guys where we're at in the process, right? We have 2 more weeks. Today is the 6th of the month. So we're a week already into May. What's your plan for May look like? What have you done so far to make progress towards making that happen? When's your next challenge group going to start? That's the first thing I'd be asking myself. When's my next challenge group starting? Have I promoted it? Have I invited to it? Who do I have as prospects for it? Second thing would be, who do I currently have that I might need to get coaching in front of, that I need to follow up with? Who did I maybe start on a program? Or who do I need to follow up with that maybe said no, but check with me later, right? Can I check in with them? I personally do a once a week check-in with people, like current challengers. Like once a week I go and I check in with them and, hey, how's it going? You push and play. I don't expect that everybody's going to be doing the challenge group like every single minute of the day. Some people are doing the workouts, but they're not doing that. But where are you at for the month? What's your plan to get to Emerald and in Success Club for May? Okay. 1 month at a time. I wouldn't worry about anything else, 1 step at a time, 1 month at a time. But what's that plan for May look like? We've got 2 more weeks together. So you and I are going to spend another 14 days together. We have 2 more calls. Next week, we're going to talk about the use of stories and using stories and how stories really grab and when, how to use stories in promoting and how to make the stories the most impactful possible, which is going to be a big part of what you guys do for the rest of your coaching career, because facts tell and stories sell. So, and then the last week is going to be the wrap up. And at this point, you guys, really will have a grasp on the basics. Do you guys feel like you've gotten something out of the first month of this though? Like at least it's giving you some direction. You've got a little bit of a game plan now. You understand, the concept of building through the challenge group system and why we do that and all those things. So with that said, guys, we got the daily assignments. Let's go have a crushing week, man. And I will talk to you guys next Tuesday on the basics call. See you later.